Oh, yeah. Hat chat. Big 4-0.
Summer's day.
With your host.
It is the big 4-0.
Yeah. Chris Trott.
Ross Hornby.
And 2 to 3 seconds later, Alex Smith. How you doing?
Yeah, as is tradition, we're still in lockdown, and the delay is abysmal. So we're going to make do with our internet delays. Nothing we can do about it, but we'll live. Just kind of like getting to 40. Your faculties start slowing, and the time it takes your brain to reach your limbs.
You'll be still naughty at 40, though, won't you, Trott?
Oh, yeah. Naughty, just a little bit slow.
Just slower.
Forgetful in a good way. It's like, I didn't do
Still
that.
naughty.
I don't remember doing that.
In what you've got like almost a get out of jail free card then. You can even be more naughty. And you know, then you can say, "Oh, sorry, I didn't realize I couldn't go nude here." So this is a Sainsbury's.
Bless him, he's old. At what point is it?
You're 40, sir.
That's pervy and creepy to, oh, he's just a cute old man.
Like 80 plus. You got to be like 80 plus to be like
double 40.
Like think about it. Like if a guy walks into a shopping, like, I don't know, place like a supermarket or something like that, and is totally naked and is just walking around doing his groceries, people are going to be fucking like, what on earth is this? Unless the person is sufficiently old where they do that thing where they're like, oh dear, oh my god, oh dear.
Oh, he's stripped down to
Somebody
his
get him a coat.
Underwear.
Go, Jason. Go down to the home aisle and get him a dressing gown or something. Cover him up.
Get him a George dressing gown from Asda.
Get him a nice George dressing gown. We're in Asda. Nice. I still know the brand. All right. I'm trying to remember the other brands now, so I can be like more of a Tesco. What's the Tesco one called? Oh, fuck it, who cares? Anyway, 80 to 85 is what I would say. 80 onwards.
Oh yeah, TU.
2E.
Yeah.
Okay. What? Can you pretend to be seen for that at all, or do you think that just then comes off as maybe just? Can you pretend to be senile earlier than that? Do you think, or do you have to be here?
Yeah, I mean, like 80s? It really comes down to like how much you want to expose yourself. I suppose. Like, yes, Ross, you could go, you know, pretend to be totally mental and do crazy things in the middle of town, and then
the guy that Coney 2012.
But Ross, you're going to get yourself into a one flew over the cuckoo's nest situation there. Let's be honest. Like, that's what's going to happen. You're going to be like, whoops, sorry, no, I'm just doing it for the lols. Of course you are, sir. Of course you are. Like,
step too far.
You're going to get lobotomized.
So far you can go.
Yeah, you could.
Oh shit,
do the Jackass method, not Jackass, but the main guy from Jackass, where he dressed up like an old man with full prosthetics.
Yeah, I was going to say it was.
Bad
Johnny
grandpa was it, or like dirty
Spike
grandpa
Lee as well. Yeah. They did a load of stuff within the films as well. There's like a couple of things where there's one where they're like hooning it down a hill on a mobility scooter. Like legit, like you wouldn't want to do it not in an outfit. Like they're going like 30, 40 miles an hour down this like super steep hill, and he's just going, "Oh my god, help me!" And like I wouldn't do that not dressed up. And it was pretty funny. Yeah.
Was it? I haven't seen them, to be honest. I wasn't that interested in that character when those films came out. But like,
no, I know what you mean.
Was the reason to try and inspire some hero to save the day, or was it just a case of this crazy scene of this old man panicked and firing down a hill?
Yeah, to get wild reactions.
They also had the other act, which I did find quite funny, but also like extremely stressful. I don't like seeing other people antagonize other people in public. That to me just like really like stresses me out. You know, when you're watching something, like when a guy calls somebody out on something.
They're all prank based, and everyone just escalated the aggression and the intrusion on people's lives.
I hate that
glad
stuff
that's
so
kind
much.
of died a little bit.
Exactly. So this had elements of that, but it was Johnny Knoxville dressed as the old dude, and then they had this like kid who must have been about like 11 or 12, like an actor as well, and he was like, "Hey kid, you want a sip of this?" And like Johnny Knoxville's character passes over a sip of like bagged up. This is in like beachfront LA area where it's a bit shady sort of thing. And then the guy is like, "Hey kid, you want a cigarette?" And so this 12-year-old like starts lighting up, and then this other dude is like, "Hey man, you can't do that. That's a kid. You can't have that." He's like, "Hey, go fuck yourself, you hippie," and like all this sort of stuff. And like he really like escalates it as fast as he can. And like this guy is like, "Dude, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, you want to throw down?" And he's like, "Yeah, I do, you little pussy bitch." And like he's like, it's crazy. And then to see the kid is also saying it like, "Yeah, you're a pussy," and all this sort of stuff. It's pretty funny and also extremely stressful, but
Yeah.
yeah, funny.
There's a
I think that's why they did it,
line.
just sort of shock value.
Yeah, like cringe humor. I think that goes beyond cringe, doesn't it? To like just full blown.
It's not really cringe humor, is it? Yeah. I don't think it's more just shock value.
I'm still cringing because like I know it's fake, and then they're putting these people in these scenarios on purpose. That's what makes me kind of cringe myself. And that's a good use of the word cringe, by the way, audience. If you cringe at everything as at comments, this really annoys me. It really annoys me. Like just the slight thing that's not quite the norm for certain people, they say cringe. If it's like doing something slightly out of the comfort zone is suddenly cringe. It's like, I think there needs to be a slightly bigger barrier until.
You say that though, but the person writing cringe is also commenting. I mean, you don't mean like as in like
yeah. I mean,
they're cringing at something else, but like I mean, if the mirror was turned around, would you be cringing at them too? Probably. They'd probably be in a bath of beans, sucking off a homeless man.
Cringe.
Like, well, that's cringe. That's pretty
for money,
cringe.
Definitely. Like
being cashed.
If you really extrapolate what people do with their lives to make money, like you could chastise anyone. It's like cringe. Like you work like that, or you have to do that, or you have to take care of this person. Like exactly, it's pointless. It's a stupid thing.
I think it's.
But I think our embarrassment and our natural like reservedness has almost been bred into us in a way. Like in terms of, I think, certainly for myself, I'm very like, like there's that almost like standoffish sort of like, as in like, don't want to impose kind of feeling that you have on people. Yeah, exactly.
Depends
very
what it is.
Confrontational. Yeah.
Like when we're filming videos and weird shit, I'll just go crazy for it because it's funny. I'm basically trying to make you guys laugh.
Yeah,
I mean, not. It's rather. I'm not thinking about some random kid at home looking on his fucking phone. I'm thinking, how am I going to make one of you? Laugh your ass
off? Those kind of things. Like I'll be an absolute. Well, you see me do really reckless, stupid things. Even interviews with certain people called Notch. I'll say stupid things and regret it later. But in the moment, I'll do really, really stupid shit because I'm trying to make someone else laugh. I think the more I kind of embody a caricature of myself, the easier it becomes.
Definitely.
If it's more like, I'm heading into a meeting now with business people, and they have some sort of position of power, or they're like it's all a big deal, and I have to be myself as me and speak seriously. That feels way more like difficult and embarrassing than me going on stage in like a thong and covering myself in oil. I'd rather do that, honestly.
I was going to say, with you, it's usually like a liquid. For some reason, when I think of you doing outrageous things, it usually involves a liquid.
I'm picturing the shipping and receiving video. Like, you really went in on that one. That was,
like with
you owned that
the thing,
one.
like,
the bathtub, where it's like...
the further I get from like who I would be around my family, the easier it becomes for me, honestly.
Yeah.
Also, like, I mean, you wouldn't do that shit if the camera wasn't there. So it's like, well, it's just fun for the camera, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know that people might get a kick out of it. Why not go full in?
The only embarrassing thing is then having aunties and uncles saying like, I watched that shipping and receiving the other day, and it's really interesting what you do. What do you do again? Why did you have that wine?
It's hard to, that's always quite an awkward one. I don't think people, especially the randomness of what they might click on. Like they could click on a play video, or like shipping and receiving. Or what did my dad watch recently? I think my dad watched our pancake one where we were shooting each other. He liked that one a lot, apparently.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, again, like
where we were shooting each other
with eggs. And
with the
airsoft one we did recently. Right.
Yeah.
I think it's like a lot of the stuff that we have done though is us being us, but in a fun scenario that other people would want to be in. So, like, for example, I guess it would be fun to like have an airsoft gun and like shoot your mates and try and make a pancake. I think the context is like something anyone could be like, I wouldn't mind chainsawing a stack of pancakes. That sounds like fun. But I guess if it's more like, I just saw you do a really awkward interview with like a guy that clearly wasn't enjoying your company, I feel like that's more like, I mean,
and I think that is that's a symptom of a way of doing business that still exists within like the gaming industry, within film, and all that sort of stuff. Of like, that's how it's supposed to be done, right? It's like, right, I'm expected to interview a person about a thing. Like we don't have to do it as much anymore, but certainly when we were sort of earlier on in our career, like we thought we had to review things to make them like successful or like communicate. Like a games company, essentially, when they give us a game to look at early or something like that, A, they want to excite us, so we talk about it. B, they want to get any feedback we might have about it, even though usually they're in such a late stage of development that any actual technical changes are impossible. More about like what we like about the game, for example, and like how they're going to market it. But also traditionally, it was like, do you want to interview a developer and stuff like that? And it's like
this exclusive interview slot.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And they're like, right, well, we've got 8 hours. So this so-and-so, this developer or this producer's available all day. And yeah, you can come and try the game. You can take away stuff and all that sort of stuff. And then, yeah, tell us when you want to do an interview. And for us, initially, we're like, okay, fuck, I guess we have to try and think of a way to interview this person. Like, but now it's sort of thankfully starting to change this kind of like, yeah, this business way of doing things of like, well, in reality, if we really want to sell this game through these YouTubers, we want to, let them do what they normally do and not fucking like we never interview devs. Like,
we are not,
honestly, unless it's like a
interviewers.
super close to my heart game series. Like there are loads of new games that have come out, loads of games that are parts of series that I love. I don't want to talk to the devs. There are a couple of devs that I would be interested in talking to, like, but it's very rare, isn't it? Like,
and also like,
well, we're not going to get the thing that they want us to get out of them.
Exactly.
We're not going to ask the right questions. We're going to either fuck around or like, it's not going to go anywhere. I don't think our audience is into reviews from us, So
and even like the more famous, the worse it gets as well, because then there's an expectation of like, this is X celebrity and this YouTuber is so cringe in front of them because they don't know what they're out of their comfort zone and they don't know what they're doing. And this person's so much more confident and clearly has done like 20 of these today. And so they're not into what they're trying to do. So like, I'm glad, like you say, it's changing. It's stupid that we are put in that position. Some of them do it really well. Like Jacksepticeye, I think, does it really well, actually. He's got a load of good opportunities and carries it.
But then he's getting to like Conan O'Brien levels of production support, though, isn't he? Like, there's like, he's probably got people who are like top of their game. Like, I mean, not taking it away from him. I'm sure he's very good at what he does. It's just like to get to that level of meta where it's like, hey, I've got enough clout and enough of a show that people generally do want to see me to sit down and interview someone and have this almost like Graham Norton sort of feeling like exchange with people. Like I'm almost like I'm at the same level of fame and intrigue as them, and we are two people having a conversation rather than a, hello, I'm a YouTuber and we're talking to this developer who, English isn't their first language, so this might be a bit hard to follow. Like I feel like there's a point that you can get to with production that really does change it from a shitty, boring interview to a late night show kind of style.
I think it's happened on the inverse as well. Journalism's shifted because of YouTube and the kind of playful nature of YouTube in general. Journalists are no longer asking the basic questions in movie, like those little media 10-minute interviews. They're now trying to do like the next big crazy thing. We're going to ask Ryan Reynolds 8 questions from 8-year-olds that he can't possibly like say no to because they're 8-year-olds, and it's like stuff like that. And the junkets, that's the word. I feel like they're trying to riff off of like what is popular on YouTube now, where it's like kids don't want to know like so what's the story of this movie and what does your character really do and how did you train for this role and blah blah blah. It's like, let's get Ryan Reynolds to do a handstand and then shoot eggs out of his ass.
I mean, you're totally right.
What do we do with Andy Serkis?
We did bring up the Andy Serkis thing.
And that and the thing is, with that whole setup, we didn't know that he was going to be there properly. For one, we weren't even sure he was going to be there. We didn't know that we were going to interview him, so we didn't have anything prepped. So we're like, okay, well, we didn't even know anything about the game properly. They were going to kind of talk to us about the game there, so we had nothing prepared. We go in there. I'm like kitting out, getting some bobbles put on me in like a skin tight like suit thing. And I come out, and then the first time I ever meet Andy Serkis, I'm in this weird, freaky outfit. I'm like, all right, mate. And I just sit down as you two he's showing you the game. And it wasn't much. And the thing is, the game was, it's very strange. Fucking hell, it was weird.
It was a real life The Office scenario without the punchline.
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I fucking love Andy Serkis and all the stuff he's done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's very weird that the first time you meet him, it's bizarre.
I think we were doing quite well to recognize the bizarreness and hilarity of the situation. Like, I think we personally, I think we handled it well. I don't think we did anything bad. Like, I think the problem was, and I think Andy Serkis would have been totally up for it as well, if he hadn't probably been briefed by his team to be like, okay, Andy, this is a press thing. They're going to come in. They're going to try it. They're going to try the game. They want to know a bit about it. And that would be great. Like, he probably went, okay, yep, no problem. But like, if we'd said dude, we're YouTubers. This is a pretty crazy situation. We're big fans of you and all the films you've been in. Like, we make stupid jokes about things. Like, I think he would have genuinely been like, oh, all right, yeah, cool. Yeah. Like, let's do it.
Well, yeah, when you consider the characters he's played, he's clearly up for improvising and fucking around.
Yeah.
We just didn't.
Did I mention I hate Planet of the Apes?
So I have this real
probably not
issue with...
That's his life passion. He's fucking loving.
Yeah, I never even brought it up. I was like, yeah, I really hate the Uncanny Valley stuff. Actually, it really fucking freaks me out. But yeah, but the thing was what was really strange is nowadays you think of Andy Serkis, you think of quite a robust, vital person. I think he's always been naturally quite lithe and movable because of the way that they perform. They're basically dancers, and then he got super jacked for a couple of films he was in, and I don't know, I think I see him as this person who's pretty rugged and tough, but then he came in, he arrived in a shitty black Ford Galaxy taxi, it was what the fuck, and then he was there in this long ass grey, nice coat, but and then a scarf, and he looked about mid-60s or something. He was very diminutive in a lot of ways.
And that's me was. I've seen him on TV.
Yeah, and I was just whoa, what? The camera? What is that camera and lighting doing? But that was another thing that caught me off guard. I was just, and he was very quiet. Sat down. He was like, "Oh, hello, yeah, I'll show you the game. Yeah, cool." And it was just it is a very it's not often Jeff Goldblum was the same, but in an entirely different end of the spectrum, wasn't he? His personality couldn't have been further from Andy Serkis's personality, and that was just again, same situation though, where we were just I was in awe, very rarely do I, we hear that from our fans sometimes, and it's a bit don't be ridiculous, we're just idiots on the internet sort of thing, when they're oh my god, I'm actually shaking. And you're I don't mean don't be ridiculous as in you're being stupid. I just mean come on, when it's not that can't be that exciting.
You don't see we didn't see ourselves through the same lens. Yeah.
And now when we did those and interviews and stuff, it was quite eye-opening, and then I just couldn't stop laughing at Jeff Goldblum. That was pretty much it. Solid for 20 minutes.
He was just a very charming personality, wasn't it? It was very he was just up for a laugh. He was willing to joke with people, and he always had something to comment on or say. He didn't leave dead air. He was
exactly. There was so much. Yeah.
He's so confident in himself. I think he's a very aspirational kind of guy. I'd be happy if I was his age and acting like that, for sure.
Yeah.
Just don't give a shit. Quite eccentric.
Do you want to do? I'd like to imagine doing serious life stuff with Jeff. Come on, Jeff, we need to do our taxes. Oh, taxes. Tic-tac-toe. Where's my pen?
One time I was swimming, and I thought about doing taxes, and I did. I blew it off.
We need to focus on
swimming
doing
with
this.
some turtles.
Easy there.
Jeff, where are the car keys? We need to get to the hospital. Ooh, keys. Open the door to my heart. Ooh.
Yeah, literally starts tapping on something, creating a tune.
Reminds me of a jazz song back in the...
Well, he invited us to his jazz thing that he does in LA, right?
He did.
We just weren't around at the time.
A really great follow-up as well. Imagine shooting that as well, from the bar. Okay, so there's Jeff on the keyboard. We're here.
Yeah, he's great.
He flew away at the time, unfortunately.
Either that or he caught him on a really good day. One of the two. I feel like a lot of people are judged nowadays based on the microsecond interaction they've ever had with them, which is, I guess, all you've got as evidence. But
that's all you've got,
again,
yeah.
that becomes concrete on the internet now, and it's like, I had the worst experience with X, and then someone else kind of backs it up saying, yes, me too. And it was on the same day.
Yeah, whenever people say like, oh, that person's apparently an asshole, that person's apparently an asshole nowadays, I'm like, I'm going to wait until I hear multiple different accounts of that person being an asshole, because everybody can be an asshole once or twice a year quite easily. You know, like when you're like pissed off at something going on and you don't understand the context.
I'd hate myself a few times weekly.
Yeah.
If you caught me at that period of time where I'd just woken up and I haven't had a coffee yet, I'd hate me so much. I'm so grumpy and irritable.
It's interesting because, like, I saw a video of was it Justin Bieber? He gets like hounded all the time by press and shit, and it's just like, obviously everyone's just, he's just being a dickhead to like the paps or whatever. He's just, you know, starting a fight with someone with a camera. But like, I guess there's an element where you can sympathize to a degree that it's like, well, every single day of your life you're going outside and there's a group of people trying to take pictures of you and stuff. Like, all you see in the comments of those type of videos though is just like, oh, he deserves it, you know, he's paying the price of fame, and it's like, sure, but where does that, what's the limit to that? Like, I mean, how extreme does it have to get? Does he have to get to a point where he's just offing himself because it's too extreme, or what?
Well,
like,
I mean, without getting too far into it, like, I think that's it's not the price of fame, it's the price of us lifting people up like we do. You know, like the amount of pedestals you put people on, like you expect so much of them. They almost feel it's like transactional, and because money is involved, in a way it is transactional. Like I think that's it, and they feel that ownership of that person's actions, and they feel that they should be able to say what that person does. And it's hard when like everything we do in life is so transactional. Like so much is based on money, I guess.
It's probably relative to the position and the image that they portray of themselves as well. So imagine like say John Cena, we all know him as being the guy that's got records for doing the amount of Make-A-Wish fulfillments ever.
I never see him though, Trott. I never see him out.
I've never seen an image of him, but I heard he is there and he does do them. However, if John Cena versus someone like, I don't know, Johnny Depp, for example, were to be caught being grumpy or like telling a fan like, sorry, fuck off, like, not right now, my family's here. I feel like because it's John Cena doing it, and compared to his legacy of being a good guy, that would come out as being like, the truth, oh my god, he's actually a total dick, and that demolishes everything he's ever done. And people will come down on that harder than someone's like, oh yeah, but he's just a bad boy figure. He's like that. I kind of like it when he's like that. It's interesting.
It's what about when people, like, even with the influencer age, etc. Like I saw that people were going to David Dobrik's house. Like I think it was
who?
Two women and a child.
That guy's name
went knocked on his door.
So fun to say. Go on.
Yeah.
David Dobrik. Yeah. So obviously he's massive on YouTube, and obviously was big from Vine. But they just went up to his house, knocked on his door. Yeah, found his house, and I guess it's fairly easy to find some of these people's houses because they film so much stuff that you kind of find it quite
triangulate.
But essentially, they went to his house, just knocked. They go, we traveled from Florida to get a picture with you. Why wouldn't you do that? It's like, you just fucking knocked on his door and expected him to do something for you. Like, that's insane. That is insane. That is like, that is too far beyond.
And then it's like emotional blackmail at the end of it, saying like, we came all this way and you're gonna let us down.
It's like, well, now you're going to make me say that you're a fucking idiot as well as disappointing me without photo. I'm also going to call you a fucking idiot.
Exactly.
No, I know what you mean. I mean, that is that's a certain level of those people involved hadn't educated themselves to the level of, like, you know, what the reality is, I guess. Like, I know people use, it's hard because like so much of YouTube and Twitch and like the interactions are like, you know, on a personal-ish level, I guess. Like, it is weird to separate it and rationalize it sometimes, I think. Like, especially when, you know, people are giving you money, it's transactional, like I say. Then
it's like the
to sort of be like,
sorry, go on.
No, that's it.
I cut you off.
No, go on.
It's just it's the entitlement of it all. It's just like, kind of, I'm going here. I'm gonna go to his house. Imagine just going to just fucking Brad Pitt's house and just being, wow, you know, come on, man. Like, you're famous because of people like me. Like, you know, give me
a photo. Like, the Atlantic for weeks for this, Brad Pitt.
To be fair, if somebody had done that, I'd be like, "Fuck it, fair enough. You deserve
I'll
a
give you a
photo.
handshake.
You
You
swam
have
the
literally swam in extreme ocean there.
Can I have a
Could've
photo
taken
with
a
you?
Let's have a quick one. Make it quick though. I've got a meeting.
Right, let's do a silly one. Pretend we're drowning. Let's make pretend we're drowning.
I hope your hypothermia goes well.
Yeah, make it a video. Make it a video. Choke me. Go on.
I think
anyway.
it's kind of like a also maybe a reflex for people that don't like seeing someone else being successful more so than they are. So taking an opportunity to bring them down a level and revel in their mistakes and their failures is makes them feel better about themselves.
Right.
Again, that's because of the system we're raised in. This like meritocracy sort of capitalist thing of like, of course you want somebody above you to fail because that means you're more likely to succeed. Like, as in like, that again, it's something we're taught, and it manifests in this social way of I should be angry at a person. It's like the same logic as guys being horrible, not just guys, people being horrible to people, but largely guys being horrible to women to lower their self-esteem because they feel like if they feel that they've got lower self-esteem, they have a better chance with them. It's the same thing, right? It's like, when guys are like, oh, you ugly bitch, you look terrible, this sort of stuff. They're hoping that creates a complex, for that person to then go, oh, yeah, I guess I am pretty ugly. Oh, I guess I'll go out with you then. Like, it's the same flawed logic, basically, I think.
I've never been more turned on in my life when you said that. You
really?
god-awful, ugly bitch. I feel...
It just really ticks his boxes.
Yes. Say more.
You just can't be surprised by these things, I think. That's the important thing. Like, remain cynical and remain... open-minded but don't be outraged when things don't go right because
well, they aren't what you expect them to be.
I feel like have you seen many celebrities out and about that haven't been obviously part of like an arranged thing, but like just have you ever seen any celebrities anywhere? Because I've never wanted to go up.
I've met Prince Charles, future king of England. Yeah.
And did you actually like meet him properly and shook his hand?
I spoke to him and I shook his hand back when that was still okay to do.
Well,
you got to bear in mind I was like 14, 15 at this age, so
where was he?
And which island were you on?
In fucking Stokes upon Hampden, mate. Because there was a bunch of the duchy land that he like administrated and owns, and
What's he doing in
he was just coming down to see it. He was just fucking crossing the road, mate, whilst me and Mark Wiggins were walking back from school, and Prince Charles just crossed the road, and my mum was like coming by in the car for something. It's a fucking shitty little village. Who knows why my mum was also riding? It's like the intro to like Postman Pat. It's like, oh, there's the one other person I know. Oh, they're coming in as well. But my mum was driving by in a car, and she's like, "Is that Prince Charles?" I'm like, "Yeah." So we'll go and get a photo. And I was just like, and he was like, "All right, boys, you just come back from school, have you?" And I was just like, yeah.
Have you got any drugs?
And he was like, what are you studying then? Are you doing well? And we were just like, yeah, doing all right, yeah. And my mum was like, you probably should have called him sir or something. Just like, yeah.
My liege.
Start bowing furiously.
Interaction. Yeah. Oh, Prince Charles.
Sir, how do we do this? I've never met royalty. What do we do?
Well, if I'm honest, sir, I think we can't tell lies to nobility. So actually, Mark here just stole a pumpkin off the school. We just ran away from detention. So,
you just shit in the field, and then we discussed whether or not we should give each other hand jobs.
I can't judge to a noble.
He put an ice pole up my bum for fun. Jesus.
Right, there, I said it. There, I said it.
My mouth.
I said I wouldn't say it.
My common mouth.
Fuck you, Prince Charles. Fuck you.
The thing is, though, right? The person, this is what's so fucking hilarious and probably partly where my sense of injustice comes from in the world. The person that he was talking to was the father of a guy who was at our school. I don't want to say his name because I don't know, I could probably get into trouble or something. But the guy who was in our school, and he was in our year trot, was a fucking chav who like fought people all the time. He was this really just basic racist idiot, right? And the rest of his family, as far as I could tell, were fucking similar, right? And it was just like, oh Jesus Christ! Like, what must this guy think over like, hello, and then this kid who I know comes to she's like, you're right, you fucking cunt. What are you looking at? But I'm just like, what? Like, what is this world? Like, it's so weird. You've got this like weird posh aristocrat, and then these fucking mental landowners near me. Like, and it's just like madness. And I'm going down the road with my mate Mark talking about whether or not you can get a frosty ice pole up my bum or not.
And now the king, future king knows.
Future king on my ice pole, I swear.
We're gonna get beheaded.
On his coronation, when he gets the drops of holy water from a deity, he's gonna think of the ice pole.
Exactly. That's what's so fucking crazy about it. At some point, he's going to be the anointed king of England, and whether or not you care about the monarchy or not, all this pomp and ceremony goes on. There's like this huge historic buildings in London will be used, and at some point, that guy had a conversation with me. Talk, and this
shows
really stupid.
The humanity of it all. Like, as much pomp and flair and money you can throw into a ritual, essentially.
It literally is. It's just posh people doing rituals.
A human that probably farts at least 30 times a day.
Oh, I hope so. Yeah.
What do you reckon? I was watching Trott, I know, Trott, you've been watching it recently, Crown, right? So I started watching, I watched the last episode. It was enjoyable. I'll watch some more. But I was thinking, like, what do you think the Queen's been getting up to? Like, do you think she just potters around, or do you think she what does she do now? Do you think?
Well, they haven't got especially
that far in this lockdown kind of environment.
Know.
Well, no, that's the thing. I don't know. I'm asking for a spoiler, essentially. I just want to know what does she get up to? Is she watching fucking This Morning?
I imagine she reads
every morning, or does she watch TV, or does she read?
I reckon
a lot.
I reckon she has like the middle upper class viewing schedule of like Antiques Roadshow, Songs of Praise, Countdown. Like she probably does the core things like the posh people
routine.
Do. But then she'll never find herself on ITV. Never, will not be on ITV. No chance at all. Channel 4, only if she wants some real news. But like, like I imagine she does like like my grandma reads a lot. I don't know about you guys. Like, my grandma reminds me of the Queen in some respects. She potters around outside
too much,
and she reads a lot.
I'm just curious because I wonder if she even watches TV though, like as in like because I don't know, like relatability to certain things, or if she gets referenced, or like I don't know, like is it not? It must be quite surreal being.
She'll be very. I think she'll be very removed from reality still. Yeah, you will be a strange person still in some respects.
Philip was like, he was. He doesn't do his duties anymore. He's basically retired, isn't he? Like he gave her that right to like retire.
Oh yeah,
God, if he isn't, he should be. Yeah.
Fucking old. Dude needs to go into deep freeze. Old. Jesus.
But like she's probably doing it because she's still queen, right? But I'm sure her duties are delegated heavily. And she probably just makes the important appearances, and then she gets told everything else by her staff. Her day is probably monitored. Like people open her window curtains, like for fuck's sakes, and bring her morning tea and stuff. Like she doesn't have to do anything, and just gets her briefing. I'm sure of like what's going on in the world, and everything else is like Pornhub probably, and then Netflix.
Do you think she uses the internet?
I don't reckon
she would.
I reckon she does. I reckon she does.
If nothing else, I think the Queen is an admirable as a person who's done an admirable job at a very complicated job. I think, of course, there's all the debates on like what should be paid for, what is like what the monarchy does, and all that sort of stuff. But like, I respect her as a person, like because I think like from the stuff I've seen, stuff I've read, it does sound like a pretty fucking big ball ache of a job, and like she has done very well in remaining fairly neutral and all that sort of stuff. Yeah,
unless you want to educate and be hated by a whole country, that's the other option. But
do you think you'd want to be royal in the top end of the spectrum?
I don't think I would.
Not now. I think
feels like
the Crown. Watching the Crown, the 50s seemed like a good time to be a royal, but like from then on, I think it just got complicated. I think the world moved on from wanting monarchies in the 60s. I think when the 60s rolled around, people were pretty done with monarchy in general.
Now it's a novelty.
In the 50s, and honestly, like I mean, I may have read. I will say the veracity of the data I've read may not be correct, but it was from an official source. The money we make from the monarchy is worth having them, like as in not just because of tourism, which is important. The real reason is they have a bunch of land, and yes, you could say, well, they shouldn't have that land. Well, they've had that land for hundreds of years now. So it's called the Duchy of various places. You have the Duchy of Cornwall, the Duchy of Devon. So basically, there is land owned by the family and the crown, right? They then they rent that land out to farmers at a very good rate, at a very low rate, to farm on, and then they can basically make money from that. And it's that money made goes back to the government. So there's a lot of like land money made that goes back to the government that makes up for a lot of the cost of the royal grants and things like that. And so like that's what I was reading about. It was probably in some country thing, but like basically there are other things beyond tourism that we make money from the royals. And it kind of led me, in my teens I was definitely anti-monarchy, and definitely it just made no sense to me. But we live in a money-driven England still, and if you're basing decisions based on what makes money, then the royals are still good money for Britain, basically.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where we're just desperately trying to cling on to that last thread of what the English Empire used to be, right?
Yeah.
When we don't really have it.
Well, we're stuck in this weird limbo of like thinking that like, oh, the Empire and Britain running everything, and we're also then having this sort of weird like new sort of movement of like, we don't want to be part of Europe, we want to be ourselves, but also we're admitting that the empire could never happen again, and that slavery was a huge issue, and like of course we'd never ever want that. So nothing about the empire really is particularly great because so much of its economy was based on slaves. It's like we're woke enough to go Black Lives Matter and we should pull down slave statues, but we're not woke enough to go, well, hold on, the British Empire isn't something we can lean on and say it's something that we can create or even really be proud of. Like, yeah, it's complicated and it's a bizarre place to be in, basically. But what funny news have we got?
We got loads of funny news. I've got quite a lot of funny news, actually. So,
we got a good 25 minutes.
It's fine. We don't have to go through everything. I'll cherry pick some stuff. So, a while back when we played TTT, there was a thing which we came up with, which was called the Shagger. Which, do you remember what that is?
Yeah.
A shit dagger.
Dagger made
so it's a dagger that's made from frozen shit. Yeah. So scientists or people, I mean, I don't know if they are actually scientists, have tried this. And the simple answer is no. Knives made from frozen human feces do not work. Okay,
Why?
so that's apparently an article.
I'll let down.
There was a published. It's published in the Journal of Archaeological Science in October 2019. It details the process of freezing and molding a knife out of human excrement and testing its ability to cut through pig hide. Now let me see the actual. Oh my God!
Why? Why was this study commissioned? What possible scientific discoveries could we get out of this? What?
The researchers point to the book Shadows of the Sun by anthropologist Wade Davis. The novel details the tribulations of an Inuit man who was forced from his home and moved to a settlement. He refused to leave, and so his family took away his tools, presumably to get him to move. He apparently took to creating his own tools by dropping his pants and defecating on the ice. He then honed the feces to a frozen blade, which he sharpened with a spray of saliva. But the scientists were skeptical.
So all they wanted to do was prove an anthropologist or right or wrong.
Yeah, to the point of like producing a very well written journal piece here, which explains that they
that picture is horrible.
So
that's pig hide in their hand there, though, isn't it? Not shit.
I don't.
It
looks like shit.
Frozen human
to describe it. Yeah, to describe it, it's obviously brown. It's shaped in a large kind of shard piece, like almost like
it's got
broken piece
back
of glass.
of the fridge kind of.
Why would
ice.
you do?
Yeah, it's got ice all over it.
It's got. A little weird, isn't it?
So, and apparently, the story explains that he used that shagger to kill a dog, used its rib cage as a sled, and its hide to harness another dog. He disappeared into the darkness, etc. That's part of the story. So the results. Materials and methods. So in order to procure the necessary raw materials for knife production, one of them went on a diet with high protein and fatty acids, which is consistent with an Arctic diet for 8 days. The Inuit do not eat meat from maritime and terrestrial animals, and there were 3 instances during the 8-day diet that MIE I'm guessing that's the subject. Ate fruit, vegetables, or carbohydrates. And then they explain how they got all the pig hide and stuff. So the results are, we began our cutting experiments with the hide, reasoning that if our knives could not cut hide, then subsequent attempts with muscle and tendons would be futile. Neither the knife mold samples nor the hand-shaped knives would cut through the hide, despite the hide being cold from refrigeration. So yeah, it just doesn't work. So if you're ever thinking that you need a knife in a tight situation and you're in the Arctic, it's not going to work.
Sorry,
don't
a tight situation that subsequently has the time allowed to freeze shit.
Yeah,
and then hone it down to a blade edge.
Yeah. Exactly. There's a lot of things where don't waste your time. Don't waste your time shaving down.
You're better off finding a tree, breaking that off, making a shard, and stabbing someone with that. Or
I say it's inconclusive, and I think more research is needed, and that's why I'm announcing the Shagger Fund, which will later be built into an institute devoted to getting to the bottom of whether or not we can freeze our shit and turn it into viable weaponry. I mean, we've just looked at cutting pigskin, sure, but what about stabbing implements?
Bullets,
rather than cutting implements.
Can we load those into
make
guns?
human shit frozen solid. Yeah,
finally.
But yeah.
And ultimately, if you find the weakest points, I mean, if you create a shard, like a very long spike, and then that goes as soon as you take out the freezer, don't give it any time to thaw. In the eye, that's damage. That you could probably do some damage, and that is the test they didn't do. They're just testing it based off an old story. No.
Think
we
out
test
the box.
Real lethal damage with the Shagger.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying there is room for improvement, and you're right. You going to invest?
I'm just spitballing here, but if we took a giant rocket full of human shit up into orbit, then fired it down into Earth, it would freeze in the times it was flying through space, right? And then so it freezes in the
atmosphere. But
well, we are forgetting the atmosphere in this scenario just to make the science work.
We'll go through that hole in the ozone.
We go to Australia, we find the hole in the ozone, and we shower them
it's not there
with
anymore.
Frozen shit. All right, and they are going to lose their minds. Who's shitting on us? Is it angels? Is it God? Is it aliens? Who knows? No, it's the Shit Dagger Institute that recently launched their brand new satellite, Shagger 1, which is currently in a geostationary orbit over the hole in the ozone layer in Australia. And that has all been funded directly by Hatfilm subscribers, and we very much appreciate that. And not to forget, the Patreon people supporting this podcast. This is the kind of content you're paying for, folks. And
this is it.
And honestly, I'd be proud. Oh, look, it's the link as well.
It came up on screen.
Yeah. But anyway, I think we need more. I think we need more research.
This isn't related, but it's kind of related to the space thing. Is it possible? Okay, bear in mind it will be extremely expensive and probably wasteful in other ways. But if you compacted so much of the waste and plastic that we've got on the Earth now, put it in a spaceship, fire it into space, but then also bring it back through so it all completely burns up in the atmosphere, would that cause more of a problem, or would it just get rid of all the plastic that we could never get rid of?
That nice smoky smell, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you get it up, but it'd be so far up you wouldn't be affected.
This would be, as an atmospheric scientist, this would be a great question to ask Simon. He would know that.
But you were declaring yourself one then.
No, the problem I imagine would be is you'd be introducing all of that shit into our upper atmosphere, and then it would just rain down on us. Equally, the question to ask why we don't dump our trash in space is because it creates more pollution firing it up there than it does that we can lift out of our atmosphere. So that's why we need like a space. So that's why space elevators are so popular as a concept, because we wouldn't have to use propulsion to get ourselves up there, and we could literally just dump shit out into space and let it float off.
An alternative, Ross. Perhaps instead of throwing plastic into space, you can instead put it into your own body and enhance your features.
Well, I mean, that's a great plug towards this next one here, which is again Gwyneth Paltrow. I found.
I love Gwyneth. More news about Gwyneth.
2 podcasts in a row where Gwyneth Paltrow has been mentioned in funny news. Okay, so she wants to
favorite member of the Avengers.
Exactly.
Okay.
So she's. I mean, you've heard about the goop shit that she's done before, the vagina candles. So she wants to. Okay, so this article says Gwyneth Paltrow wants to stay young and she'll use anything to do it. And she's planning on injecting her face with something called zeomin. And let me find why zeomin
It's a
seems
toxin that's the product of the bacteria found in botulism.
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 Botcha
is a bacteria.
Yeah, it's a certain bacteria. And
well, I mean,
yeah,
let's remember the what's the stuff that you already put in your face to paralyze your muscles?
Botox.
Botox is also a like paralytic agent.
Similar thing,
like
right.
it's essentially a poison. So like this is similar, I suppose, but with bacteria. Also, like saying a bacteria found in something, like bacteria, like I'm fairly sure that bacteria is one of those things where it's like, yeah, you can have bacteria that have elements of like fucking
good bacteria.
Yeah, exactly. The bacteria can be, the cultures can be combined with many different things to produce different effects. And all I'm saying is this sounds very, very, very much like they're trying to find something wrong with something that she's doing. And I think that's outrageous for us because you know me, I'm Gwyneth Paltrow's #1 fan.
Number one. Got several candles.
But I'm not surprised.
In 2018,
I've been renewed for another season. No.
Oh, is it really?
Oh, that's what it said at the bottom there. Goop renewed for a second season.
Renewed. There's more.
Exclusive.
I mean, it means we got more crazy shit we can talk about. But yeah, she got sued for $145,000 because of her unproven claims that the vaginal jade eggs had health benefits. So she's been sued for her crazy ideas as well. So if other people start stabbing themselves with Zim, whatever this is, Zeomin, then good luck. Good luck. Maybe you'll look younger. Maybe you'll end up killing yourself. We'll see. We'll see. But Gwyneth Paltrow, cookie lady.
Yeah, maybe.
I think it's just the complete. There's almost a recklessness to the level of open-mindedness they practice. It's just like, be open-minded. But you're just saying yes to anything that sounds. They just say yes to anything that sounds like people won't believe it. Like, that's not a good
like
rule
Chinese
to have.
medicine level, though. It's Chinese medicine level now. As long as they're not like hunting.
Even Chinese medicine has some things right.
Give it a go.
Like, true. It's important. Like, the worst thing about Chinese medicine is all the animal parts they use that they don't need to use. But the problem is some Chinese medicine stuff does actually work. Like anti-inflammatories can be found in fucking willow bark and things like that. But anyway, don't eat tiger dicks is what I'm saying.
It's cruel.
Yeah, avoid those. So you've seen that football's been back for a bit now since the lockdown. There was one team that decided to play a socially distanced football match, and they lost their game 37-0. So a German football team lost 37-0 to their local rivals after fielding only 7 players who socially distanced throughout the match, which I can only picture as them literally just avoiding any other person on the pitch and just letting it go past until they kind of maybe.
So, well, I can't tackle it.
Yeah, because you can't tackle, so you're waiting for a person to shoot essentially, and then the goalkeeper can pass it to one of your team, and then hope that they lose the ball somehow.
Yeah, so it's a team called Ripdorf fielded the minimum number of players on Sunday because their opponents, SV Holdenstedt 2, came into contact in a previous game with someone who tested positive for COVID-19. Their team tested negative, but Ripdorf said the conditions were not safe. If Ripdorf had not played, they would have faced a €200 fine. So clearly they didn't care that much because they would have just paid the €200 fine and said, well, we don't want the illness. And that's that. But it seems like they've just played on to maintain, well, not to avoid a fine, and just lost the match by 37-0.
I can tell you their season ticket holders are certainly going to feel ripped off.
I can imagine so. Jesus Christ. Is it because of the ripped off thing? Yeah.
Yeah, every time I was like, this is a joke name, surely.
Yeah, it does sound like a joke name, but it's just, I'm reading it as it is, and ripped off did not tick to me.
Ripped off.
Apparently, so it's not possible to play a game. I mean, let's be honest. Why did they not call it off after the 10th goal went in? You're letting 37 goals go in. Mm-hmm. That's insane. That's not a football match.
You're 30-0 down, guys, but all is not lost.
Yeah. Team talk.
Team talk.
Right, we let in 15. What is the next half going to do? Well, I mean, it can't be worse. Well, okay, full time.
Shit, 17 more goals.
That's a record you don't want.
15 goals. Yeah, it's like 15 goals. We've already broken the record. There's no way we're gonna get any more in. Like, it's
Can't get
impossible.
worse.
Statistically,
Let me just tackle him.
This is a miracle.
Just let me touch him, please. No.
They just stood at the sideline, just fists clenched, like COVID. But
This
apparently,
is
yeah,
an excellent time to get into a non-contact ranged sport like airsoft, or that other one where they have like the balls in the like scoops attached to their arm that go
Lacrosse?
like mental fast.
Lacrosse.
Not
Is that
lacrosse. There's like
lacrosse?
lacrosse is like a stick and you flick it, but like this is one where there's like a curved thing on their hand. It's played in like Italy and stuff like that. It's and you fling a fucking ball because it's on Jackass. Where they fling these balls at them that are like absolutely like they're made of like stone, these balls, and they flick them. Everyone's saying Jai-Alai, but I don't think it's called that.
It doesn't sound like dodgeball. It's bigger balls, and they're not rock hard.
It is extremely similar to that game, though. Maybe I know it by a different name.
Maybe. I think we should do
PvP
style.
PvP style, maybe.
Like instead of firing
or like
inanimate targets for the whole time, fire at each other.
Oh, highlight. Yeah, you're right. It is that. Yeah.
Scary.
Sorry to talk over you there. But people said highlight is what it's called.
What about golf? Frisbee golf. You know, that's
that's
that
fun.
Be a thing you could take up.
Hard but fun. Have you guys played Ultimate Frisbee, where it's like a bit like American football and netball mixed together?
I have.
Where you can like
but I imagine that's still not.
Did we play that up at Graham's
the same
house?
thing? We did, yeah.
Yeah.
I imagine that's still not COVID safe because there's still some contact with the. Whereas with golf, obviously.
What if we just built like a disinfectant like well in the middle of the frisbee? So when you throw the frisbee, it flings disinfectant out sideways. Yeah. It's totally new. Oh god, it's
bleach in my eyes.
But
my eyes, Jesus Christ, my eyes.
Well, honestly, let's not rule out PvP archery.
PvP archery would be quality. Is that a thing?
It would be good. I mean, can we wear like what if we just get those ones which kind of sink into like kind of those tiny little spikes that they have for darts? You know, a dart board with but it's safe darts, so they're all plastic. And the board reaches and it sticks into it. So what if we have our entire body with those on it, and then they're just instead of sharp ends, it just digs into us, and then that's where we can do PvP archery.
I like that.
It's not necessarily that the end is sharp, it's the mass of the arrow which is the problem. So like even if we had those little green like tip on the end, if the shaft hits you, it will probably like at any kind of pace, it's probably going to go into you. So like we can try it, but you'll be the first guy to try the suit.
Right. Okay.
Well, okay, Ross, you ready? Yeah. What poundage is that bow? It's a 45 pounder. Can kill a buck from 300 feet. Good luck, chap.
Did we need to buy the composite bow, or could we just start with a regular draw? Well, it looked good. Prince Charles will be proud of me. I've moved up from ice holes.
Prince Charles will be.
My lord, I've become a yeoman at archery. I tend to goat now as well. And I sucked off my mate outside the pub. Oh God, my corner lips.
Lord. It's like a trick serum. You're like a trick serum. Get away from me.
I regularly speed. There are at least 6 women that may have a child by me. Oh God. Oh God.
I paid my taxes in late. God, you got me. You bastard. Get away from me.
I've been on my TV license for 3 years.
Damn you, Prince Charles. In your zone of truth.
I'd love to see his reaction if somebody went up to him, even jokingly like that, and he'd be like, "What?
Sorry, sir.
God,
that's terribly unfortunate. Ice, you say? No, that sounds dangerous." There's one more thing here, which is apparently Venus belongs to Russia. That's now something that I've literally just found here.
They've landed a satellite on it, and therefore they've claimed it.
Russia's space agency chief declares Venus a Russian planet. And let me see if that's the reason.
Until you land something on it, it is ours.
And what are they going to do with it? Do you know what I mean? Like, even if that's claimed.
Well, Well, Ross.
Go over there. Go on.
Funny you should
Populate
say that.
it. What can you do there,
There's a
Trott?
lot of theories, working theories. I'm working on one myself.
Okay.
That actually is a crust on the inside of it. It's not a gas giant, as we are all led to believe by modern science.
Yeah.
Whoa,
I'm
hold
struggling
on.
to believe that. This is a running gag that we
Pull the
believe
other
that
one.
Venus
Pull
is
the
a
other
gas
one.
giant.
Trott.
I just want you to know. And the world is flat, obviously, but we all know that.
Yeah.
Go on.
But Venus,
What is this? Nursery school?
Venus is basically could have been a habitable planet, but the greenhouse gas effect had a runaway effect and is now
Right.
Fucked
completely
it.
toxic. And the
Well, it's made it. Yeah.
outlet,
It's
it's
almost
so thick,
entirely
it's so
carbon
hot.
dioxide.
Yeah, but apparently the quality of life, like 50 kilometers from the surface, like
Yeah.
that suspended point around in orbit, is actually the closest
Mwah.
part of the
Mwah.
closest to the Earth's atmosphere in the whole solar system. So in between that horrible upper layer and the surface that could melt metal, there's a really nice sweet spot where we could have a whole colony of balloon people living in balloons.
Or stilt people, where everything's
Or
on
stilt
extremely
people.
high
Stilt
stilts.
people.
It
Where
was
so
fucking
obviously you're
South
just
Pole
above.
painting.
Yeah.
yeah.
And
And
then
also
go from
that-
there, or you could figure out a way to float everything.
It could be
That's-
How
microbial
long
life
before
on
some-
Venus now as well.
How long before somebody scoops up some of that air, bottles it, and sends it back to Earth and sells it? Breathe, real Venus air. I'm your Venus. We're doing a fucking like laughing gas.
I had it all at once.
What was
Yeah.
that? Oh, it's Venus air. Fucking hell.
It's pure
Oh my
carbon
god.
dioxide. There's a lot of
Yeah,
bad shit in
quality.
the atmosphere. I wouldn't inhale that, but
Yeah, well, any planet that
phosphenes-
isn't ours is always going to be worse. This is the thing. Like, that's kind of why like there's been less desire to colonize other planets, because it's like, well, it's not going to be as good as here, is it? Like,
It's gonna take a lot more work and energy and time. So yeah,
Yeah.
like
it's
it's
more
gonna
a
be
case of
work.
a last resort,
Okay.
isn't it? It's like, no, we really have fucked the planet. We really need to get off it. So, I guess we're gonna go with the stilts on Venus. Fuck.
I'm just the Venus stilts idea. The wacko in the corner with a really weird sketch he's done on an etch a sketch. This is what it should look like. Okay, well that's weird. Okay, brilliant. Anybody else? Are we all voting for the? We're voting for the stilts guy. Okay, Jesus Christ. Well, to
Fucking
be fair,
hell.
anything can
That's
happen.
what it comes down to.
We're going with your idea. Congratulations, sir.
Well,
We're going to have the stilts.
yeah. Because of the
Right.
like really bad post-fact society, the latest president actually killed all the real scientists and had
real
Gwyneth
scientists
Paltrow
gone.
take the lead on this whole thing. So,
Gwyneth, how are your team at Goop doing? Very good. She's English, isn't she? Or, no, she's American.
She's American,
yeah.
yeah. She's married to an
Californian.
Englishman at one point.
Yeah, that's why I thought she was English for a while. Anyway, get your best
Yeah.
engineers on it, Gwyneth. We've got 6 quartz and a candle, and when you light them and turn them upside down, they look like a rocket's engine.
I'd take you
Jesus
seriously if you
Christ,
didn't have
Gwyneth.
crocodile shit smeared all over your face, Gwyneth. What's that for? Oh, it's an acne breakout. I thought it would help. Weird. Get out of the room. It stinks.
I've got a tail now.
Smell like surgically attached to is that a prehensile tail, Gwyneth? Oh, you noticed?
Yes,
I'm
it
young again.
aligns my chakra.
It aligns my chakras. So my team is really worried that in Venus we actually won't have aligned chakras because of the arrangement of the stars. So we can't see a way that feasibly we're going to be able to get to Venus. Is that why?
So we're moving the planet.
We're gonna get all of the Reiki experts on one side of the planet, and they're all gonna push their energy outwards, and that's gonna force it. Have you seen the TV show Noah's Island? They somehow used a volcano to propel an island, and I don't know how. Okay, but we're gonna do the same with chakra energy, and it's gonna be great. Okay,
We have a
Glad we've
Reiki
got the
guru here
scientists.
who's got big energy, and we think he, with all our powers combined, and everyone buys the vagina candle and lights it at the same time, we can all push it with our energies.
he's got big energy and even better style. Fuck up.
That's Scoop season 2.
Yeah.
Season 2.
Should be sponsored.
Spoilers. Anyway, yeah. Any other hilarious news to wrap up? Or
I think, but there wasn't a hilarious one. There was another one which is basically just another reason not to necessarily rush to Australia, where spider-like toxins are found in Australia's stinging trees. If you're familiar with
I
what
know
they
about
are. So
this. They're called something. It means it's the Aborigine for pain twice.
Gympie
pain.
or Gimpy?
Gympie. Yeah, Gimpy. Yeah.
Gimpy.
Yeah, these are like fucking
Okay.
like a bit like that oak, that poison oak
Gimpy,
kind of
Gimpy.
situation.
Yeah,
Like
yeah. That sounds horrifying, but I'm sure people are probably aware of it by now, right?
You feel an intense burning to begin, right? And then it changes after several hours to a pain akin to the affected area having been slammed in a car door. This may last for days or even weeks. Just the feeling of being slammed by a car door for weeks.
I was in Cairns in northeast Australia, where it's like a rainforest environment, right? And we go out for the day, like we're going like kayaking or whatever. When I was over there, and me and my mate are there, and we've got this Australian guide who's telling us about this shit, and he's like, watch out for the drop bears. And like me being in this like young English idiot, I'm like, drop bears? He's like, yeah, they fall from the trees. And like that's a classic one. Like that's a classic Australian thing of people saying, like, watch out for drop bears. There are these bears that fall out of the trees and they can kill you if they land on your head. Like that. They tell it to everybody. But then later on he was like, oh yeah, watch out for the Gimpy. And I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah, it's a plant over there. You don't want to get fucking touched by that, mate. And I'm like, are you being serious? Because I don't know. Because you've already like made a fool of me. So now I'm like, how dangerous could this plant be? And he's like, oh yeah, it's pretty bad. I had a mate who wiped his ass with it, and I was just like, he wanted to kill himself. And I was just like, oh my god. Pretty funny. But yeah, that's what I learned about that, and I was like, oh shit.
I think the only reason it's been put in this article is because obviously it must be well known, but until recently scientists weren't able to figure out which molecules inside the plant caused such severe pain.
Right.
And it's like a neurotoxin. So by understanding how this toxin works, they are able to provide better treatment. So Jesus Christ.
So is it getting into the air now as well? Is that the problem? Is it burning up or not?
It's
imagine this
needles
shit, right?
that inject toxins.
Fine hairs.
I thought, it's like a stinging nettle, and like I don't particularly care about stinging nettles; they're not that bad. But then the guy was like, "Oh yeah, you really want to get hit by this one, mate?" I was just like, "Okay." And then with the poison oak, we learned about in California.
Yeah, same with the poison oak thing. Yeah.
If
they were casual about that as well. Well, don't touch that leaf. Okay.
Don't let it brush you.
And then we like looked at like what it can do to people getting hit by poison oak, and it's like, it can create life-changing like forms on the like if you get like your face fucked up, by it can come back, and like it's something that stays in your system and all this sort of stuff. It's like
don't want that. And we were just like wearing shorts and shit, like walking through stuff, like setting up our tents. It's like we walked through that last night in the dark.
For sure. Yeah. And like how fucking inconvenient would that have been as well? We were like fucking 3 hours into wilderness, and now we've been stung by this random plant that gives really horrific injuries. It's like, that would have ruined my week.
Right.
Yeah.
No more
just
white water rafting.
Just a bit.
But hey, got out of that one alive, didn't we? That's another video that time. We were like, this might be the last time you ever hear from Hat Films. Now we're back again, bitches.
Literally, we were cut off from all signal. Like we could have just died there, no one would have known.
Yeah.
Fun times.
Not for a while.
Pretty lol.
Not for a while.
Anyway, all right, that's all the stories I've got.
I think that's about it.
Hope you enjoyed them.
Hopefully you also enjoyed the sweet Fingal made by Matt L. that really chilled us all out at the start. We got a longer version at the end. So thank you, Matt L. If you're also musically inclined and want to send us an awesome Fingal, why not send it to our email, hatchat@hat-films.com. Please put Fingal in the subject, otherwise I might miss it. And I don't want to miss out on awesome tunes that you'll be giving us. And it could be featured as the next Fingal. I have got quite a few now, I'd say, that could be there. So sorry if yours hasn't been played yet. We might get around to it. Might not. I'm pretty bad at organizing things sometimes. Anyway, another big thanks to our Patreon supporters, as this is a non-sponsored foray for us and has been for 40 episodes now. Please give a big thanks to yourself if you are one, or if you know someone that is our patreon.com/hatfilms.
Pat yourself on the back.
Pat yourself on the back for allowing us to continue to do this fortnightly. and spare some time for it. We like doing it, so thank you to all of those supporters. We like to credit you at the end of the YouTube video. So if you want to see the visuals that go along with this audio and you're listening right now, head to our YouTube channel, the Hat Chat Podcast. Just search for that. We should come up because we're really popular. So that's just SEO. It just works. It's Google. It knows what you're doing. But yeah, check out that and you'll be credited at the end. Thank you, Patreon supporters. And we'll see you all in 2 weeks' time. Have a good couple of weeks. If anything crazy happens, please let us know. We like to talk about it.
I'm sure we will.
Then,
yeah.
Stay safe. Hope you're all washing your hands and your ass, but not with leaves from Australia.
No, don't do that, please, God. Right.
Yeah.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
See ya.
Bye.